Hey everyone. Let's see, is my mic working? Let me move it up a little. This is a great crowd. How about that? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Thank you. So I am excited. Again, thank you all for coming. This is wonderful. We're going to have a conversation about leveraging, this is going in and out, so I'm just going to hold it. How about that? About leveraging social media, either for yourself or for your business or for your organization. And I am honored to be here today on behalf of my employer, the Kentucky Small Business Development Center. So if you all are not familiar, let me tell you a little bit about us. The Kentucky SBDC, as we call it, we have been assisting small businesses and organizations in the state of Kentucky for over 40 years. And we have service centers statewide. We have an Eastern Kentucky center that's in Paintsville. We have a center at Morehead State and a center in Berea. Those are our Eastern Kentucky locations. Up here, my center, the London Center, also covers Eastern Kentucky counties, 23 of the southernmost and southeastmost counties at current. And then we have centers in Lexington, Bowling Green, Louisville, all over. So we service all 120 counties. We do no cost, no additional cost, we like to say, consulting and training services for communities. And we do this, thank you, as a thanks to our sponsorship, in co-part at least, through the United States Small Business Administration. And we are administered by the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment, so we're UK employees. And we also have many other partners, and I won't talk to you all about those today, but just to acknowledge, and I know it's a little blurry, the screen is big, sorry about that. There are several. But before we get started too, this is one of our fun statistics. We like to say at the Kentucky SBDC that small business is in fact big business. And so this is 2-year data just to show you what a small team like ours have done. We served over 6,500 small business clients in Kentucky, and that accounted for over 31,000 hours of service. And training attendees, pretty similar to this, I do a lot of those, over 3,400, which we're proud of. But what we mean by that when we say small business is big business, 737 new businesses started, and some of these years were COVID years. So come on in. I'm not sure if there are seats, but maybe y'all can sit in the back. Good to see you. We supported over 14,000 jobs, and that led to $238 million in investment. What that means is maybe someone got a loan, they got a grant, whether that be through the SBA during COVID, they invested their own money, things like that. So because of these numbers, we believe that small business is, in fact, big business, and we're really proud of that. But my name's JC, and if you all want a card, please come up and see me afterwards, but my email address is down here low. It's just my name, jc.phelps@uky.edu. And so please feel free, if I can be of assistance to you, your organization. We have lots of young people in here in your career. Please let me know. Let's see. So today, let's sit down and have a convo, and I'm actually going to pull this up on my own computer so I can see while I'm talking to you. We're going to be talking about leveraging social media in your organizations. And I'm so thankful to SOAR for asking me to present about this. This is what I do all day, every day. And I love discussing digital marketing. Give me 1 second, y'all. Thank you. So, I'm curious, while I'm pulling this up, if you all want to tell me what social media platforms you all use the most. You all are young, so I'm going to guess it's the clock app, but tell me a little bit about that. Tell me which app you all use the most. Now, don't be shy. We aren't going to have that. Facebook? Instagram, okay. No TikTok? I'm shocked. I figured so, but let's just go ahead and get started. So we're going to be talking about how to leverage a large majority of these. And I always like to start my presentations with the idea of a burden of proof. So maybe, I think you all are here, you all are social media lovers maybe, but in case I have some haters out there, let's talk about why social media is important. These stats are kind of hard to see up here, but let's talk about it. So this is digital marketing statistics, digital around the world, and data. These are 2021, data is always changing. But if we look here, the world population at this time was 7.83 billion. 4.2 billion people are active, meaning they used it at least one time, was the basis here, on social media. If we can do math, if we doubled that, that's 8.4, so that means over half of the world's population. And what I always say in these burden of proof, these statistics are individual users, but because individuals are using them, I want businesses and organizations to be able to use them as well. So lastly, this is a text-heavy slide. We won't have too many of these, but I've told you, people are on social media. They're leveraging it very frequently, but there are many benefits. And the benefits are plentiful. And when I talk to our clients, when I look at the significant benefits to it, I think digital marketing gives an unmatched ability to interact with business prospects if you're in the business of leveraging your product online, to see what your customers are looking for exactly, what you're trying to leverage to gain capital on their behalf. And I also think that it gives a unique chance for you to target the right audience, and we're going to talk about this. A lot of this presentation is going to be rooted in specific strategies, specific tactics, and we're going to talk a lot about how we can do, how we can exactly hit our target audience. But you can do that on social media at a pretty low cost. So if you were my client at the SBDC, you would hear me say this all the time. I have two assumptions in marketing, and probably not the only time I'll say it today. My first assumption is that people are lazy. Isn't that mean? People are lazy. We got to tell them what we want them to know really quick. My second assumption is that social media is free to be on, but it's cheap to be good at. And so that's what I mean by saving money. It is the most cost-effective form of marketing. And lastly, we'll talk some about analytics. Analytics are very important, and the access to data is simply unparalleled. So I've talked about a little bit here at the SBDC, what we do consulting of all categories in business, and I do a lot of digital consulting, but outside of the SBDC, kind of talking about the power of social media, I want to talk a little bit about what it is that I do. So going to the next slide, here I am holding a big jar of mayonnaise. How do y'all like that? I have had a really fruitful career over the last 13 years in the blogging world. I write Kentucky's most popular blog with over 700,000 subscribers. Across the blog and social media platforms, I have an audience of over 1 million. And this has been a career that has been very good to me and very fun. And I share this because what I love about the internet, when I started the blog, I was, on my family farm in Jamestown. I don't know if y'all know where Jamestown is. It's 1,500 people in the city limits. Pikeville is a large city compared to where I'm from. And the internet is an even playing ground. So it doesn't matter if you're in rural Kentucky, if you're in Louisville, if you're in Lexington, it is wide open. And I think that for business too, if you leverage it correctly, you have the ability to surpass large markets. So on the internet, a lot of people sometimes erroneously call me JCP Eats. I'm JCP Eats. I talk about food, do the food writing for the state of Kentucky, and I cook on the NBC affiliate in Louisville. So my career has quite literally been talking about how you should cook and where you should eat, with the blog being my main platform. So I know a lot of people are scared of social media and of the usage. And so what I hope today that hopefully this is a really casual conversation. We're going to be interactive. We're going to be asking questions. What I want you all to leave with today, if I could have one hope, is that I don't want you to be intimidated by social media. I want you to leave this feeling as if you have the ability to leverage it. And leveraging means different things for different people. For me, it's growing an audience and making money. For a business, it could be, selling your product and grossing revenue. For the SBDC, it's telling more people about the services by which we provide. We all have different goals, and the strategies by which we get there are relatively similar. So again, I know some of you on the back, the bottom of the slides are going to be cut off, and I apologize about that. But let me talk about where we're going to go. So while I'm a creative, I always say I'm a type A person. I always lay out a roadmap for us. And so we're going to be talking about what I say is real estate and how you can maximize your social media real estate, meaning your profile, meaning your presence. We're going to be talking about types of online content, the types of content you should be producing, the platforms by which you should be producing on. And then we're going to talk about consistency. And this is a little bit of an algorithm conversation that's one of the most popular, if not the most popular, I get at the SBDC every single day is saying, okay, JC, you're telling me I need to post. How often should I post? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about optimizing and specific strategies that you can, and then we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics before we go into Q&A, and that's mapping an audience. So we're cut off a little there, but let's start with talking about our real estate. It sounds kind of funny. I've taken that term, and I use it because when you're looking to buy a house, you're getting on Zillow, you're going through the photos, and you're seeing the profile of your business. Your social media page is exactly that. So TikTok was an app we're going to talk about. I'm not going to make anyone dance. I'm not going to put anyone on the spot. I was a late adapter to TikTok, I'm not going to lie. You do something so long and you get stuck in your ways. I'm the same way. And the agency that books my brand deals told me they would drop me if I didn't start TikToking. So boy, oh boy, did I jump on it. So I haven't done a lot, but for the amount of time I've put in a pretty decent following there. But this is my TikTok page. Whether it's your TikTok page, an Instagram bio, a Facebook profile, you can do all the strategy that you want, get people to the page, but you will have a diminished return on investment if you don't tell them exactly what they need to know. And we often do this through biographical information. This goes back to my assumption that people are lazy, right? We've got to be really quick and really easy in telling them what we want. So, just looking at my bio, this is a phrase I've milked over the last 10 years rather, life below the Mason-Dixon line, AKA Southern, okay? Food writer, located in Kentucky, my email, and jcpeats.com. So while I'm not a business that serves or sells, a hard product, what is it that you should really look at and pretend this is your page? If you're an individual, solo entrepreneur, if you're a self-facing business, we often want to use a headshot. I usually use this one or one of me, using salt in the kitchen, But if you're a business, you're going to want to use your logo. And I say that with a huge asterisk here. Many of our logos are text heavy, and this is a huge error on social media. There is such thing called, whether we want to call it a digital logo, something that you use on digital media. And I'll use my friends at SOAR, for example. SOAR's name is Shaping Our Appalachian Region. We at the SBDC are the Kentucky Small Business Development Center. These are long names, right? SOAR certainly uses SOAR, the acronym, and we use SBDC. So if your business name is long, I urge you to think about how you can shorten it in a logo, because as you can see, even on this big, huge screen, that little circle is very small. So sometimes it's a branding conversation, even from the beginning. Choosing a custom username and being intentional about your name. If I could turn back time, I wouldn't name myself what I did online, but that was a long time ago, and it's too late to go back. So learn as I say and from my own mistake. I want to know from a business or organization perspective, in a few characters, typically less than one line, what you do and or who you are, where you're located, if you're driving people to your own person in locality, saying you're in Parkville, saying you're in, Hazard, wherever you might be, providing how to contact and linking out. These are 6 things that are kind of baseline, and sometimes you only have 150 characters to do this. So it can be kind of stressful. And sometimes at the SBDC, when I have a digital client, this is one of the first things we do is I go through their profiles and, in a nice way with a casserole in hand, we critique them, right? And we maximize. So we're going to talk about types of content, and I will only make you watch this once. But one thing I'm going to try to not scare you to do after this is inspire you to do video. Video used to scare the ever-loving, body out of me. And content is moving heavily to video, okay? Platforms like TikTok, platforms like Instagram moving to Reels. Videos are important, and I do think they're a little more interesting. So when I think of social media content these days, I think of video content, and I think of static content, meaning it's not moving. So I would be curious which one you all think is more engaging. So if you would, will you play that video? Let's make some deviled eggs. See if it will play. Oh no. If you, maybe down there in the bottom left corner, is there a play button? If not, no biggie, we can imagine. Or you can go to TikTok and watch it. That's okay. But all of this is say this is a 40-something minute clip. You can see me shoveling in some mayo there. Mayonnaise is very much my brand. Oh, you get it? Yeah, there we go. How about that? So there's actually audio in this, which is fine. You don't have to hear me twice. But, this is me in my kitchen in Russell County, where I'm from. We're stirring up some deviled eggs. I'm showing you the egg salad mixture, how you can pipe them nice and pretty using an icing gun or a Ziploc bag, if that's all you have. Putting it in there. And then we're going to put the mixture into the eggs with some paprika and chopped bacon and chives, and just showing you how they're pretty before we decorate them. All of this to say, this is where content's going. When I started social media as a career, I only posted photos like this. I only posted, there on the right, that's a pecan Manhattan made with a Louisville-based liqueur. But now we're moving to this, right? And this scared me. It scared me, and I do this full time. But I'm going to encourage you, as we talk about platforms, to think about encouraging and making more video content. And there's a reason for that, and we'll talk about it. So platform selection. When I talk with their clients, we often first have a discussion of where are you on? I heard people say Facebook was the platform that they use, Instagram, we heard TikTok, and guess what? That's the trifecta we're going to talk about mostly today. But let's talk about the different platforms, and I love all of these for different reasons. And I think there's reason to be on maybe the majority of the 3, and then we'll go from there. But I'm guessing everyone at minimum, if you're on socials, on Facebook, things to know about Facebook. Facebook is a great resource because you can put a clickable link. If you are a business selling a cardigan, it's cold outside, you can link out directly to your store, either through a product page or a URL. Instagram, for example, you cannot click a URL. One of the benefits of Facebook. But I usually think of platform selection by target audience. And Facebook users, by data, are older, and I'm starting to get to the age where maybe I fall in the Facebook demographic more. They're older, they have a higher level of discretionary income, generally speaking, and that's important when we think about your product. Maybe you have a product or service that you're gearing towards, 30-somethings plus. Facebook would definitely be a place to take your content. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, you would think would operate very similarly. They could not be more different. Instagram is definitely a younger leaning app, and I'm sure I'm so shocked in a great way how many young people are here. And hopefully you all are using social media and realize that it can very much be a business. I'm guessing all of you are older than 15, and that's how old it was when I got my first check. So, this is very much a career that you all can take. But Instagram is a younger platform. It's very visual. It's all about the aesthetics. It's about static imagery. However, that's when it started. Instagram is greatly moving towards the use of video content. Static imagery is reaching less people. It's getting less impressions. And so they are moving a lot towards making people post reels or post other forms of video content, and that's where the organic view is. So even apps that were once made to share images initially, instantaneously of what we were doing, why it's called Instagram, it's moving to become a video app. And it's moving to become a video app because of this bad boy. TikTok has completely disrupted the market. And I did a huge training on TikTok in Somerset last week. And I told this story, and it's very true. As I said, I was a late adopter to TikTok myself, but no better time than the present. Please get on it. But all of that to say, after all of these years, after my biggest platform being the blog, people usually coming up to me in the grocery store saying, I'm buying ingredients to make these deviled eggs, all of these things. 9 times out of 10, if someone stops me today, they say, hey, you're that guy from TikTok. And that drives me nuts because it's a new platform and I've been working for years. But what it tells me as a consultant and looking at strategy, that this app is unparalleled. If you look at the growth, it is a near perfect J-curve, meaning exponential growth. The spending on it follows a J-curve, and the amount of time that people spend on this app per day knocks the other social media platforms out the gate. When I look at my weekly media consumption and I realize how much I spend on TikTok a day, 2 to 3 hours, but you didn't hear it here. 2 to 3 hours a day on TikTok, I think how much more productive my life would be if I wasn't on there. But because people like me and probably like you are scrolling, we're seeing all of these videos. If you're a business, if you're an organization or an individual that wants to leverage a business, that means we should be on there. And so I think this is maybe the scariest app to join. But much like, what you just saw, that deviled egg video is a TikTok coming out very soon with Duke's Mayonnaise. I have done a couple of dancing videos, not to encourage you to go over there, and a couple of lip syncs, so you may want to go over, but I'm not cool, I'm not trendy, I never will be, I never have been. That's never been my brand. But I find my own content. I do a lot of voiceover. I show people around Kentucky. And same with your business. You don't have to be doing the content that a lot of, these people that are here at the conference, at the session today, they can make much better TikTok content than I could. But we can both make content that works. And I encourage you to think about that. But that's only 3 platforms, right? There are so many others. There are Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. People do YouTube, second largest website, most visited in the world, only behind Google, even though Google owns it. Blogging and Snapchat. Many of these platforms are in popularity to being Twitter and Snapchat. I don't think it necessary that we use these all. What I tell my clients, though, is that I would rather you fully do something than half do something. I want you to use the app where your target audience is located, where they are, where they're spending their time, where you can leverage them to create revenue. And chances are, none of us have the capacity to do all of these apps and to do them well. What I would recommend, though, here's my little asterisk. If you are not using one of the platforms, I encourage you as a business or an organization to still make an account and claim your username in case you ever decide at some point, Twitter has this huge resurgence and you want to start leveraging it, you go and you realize Kentucky SBDC is already taken. And people do that just out of meanness. I will say I was launching a secondary website and I had announced that, I need to take my own advice. And I said the name on my Instagram story. So 10, 12,000 people are watching it. Someone went and bought the URL before I did. I just had the Instagram account and tried to sell it to me for $10,000. That's a very real business. And needless to say, I rebranded. I didn't feed into that. But so in looking at strategy and looking at leveraging, we know one, social media is evident, right? It's here, it's not going anywhere, it's scaling. We know that you have to be able to maximize the profile and tell people very easily out the gate what it is that you do and who it is that you are. You do that on your selected platforms, and then the question becomes, JC, how often do I have to post? I'm a business owner, I'm doing my books, I'm opening the door every day, I'm doing all of these things. And my answer to you is, isn't that a great question? I wish there were a clear answer. These are oftentimes with my clients, I address, 2 and 3 there. What quantity or posts constitute enough and what constitutes too much? So let me give you a little story here. 4 or 5 years ago, I was selected to become a part of a Facebook creator cohort. We went out to California and they were talking to bloggers. And at that time, I used to post every single day. If I was on my deathbed, you would get a banana bread recipe that day, without doubt, right? Because for a long time, that's what we thought we had to do. We thought we had to post every single day. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Your post, when we think about how often people see it, we think about the concept of the algorithm. I could do a whole training on the algorithm and none of us would still understand it, including myself. But it's all proprietary. So if someone says they understand an algorithm, I encourage you not to listen to that person. They're proprietary for sure. What we do know is that there are components to the algorithm that we can leverage, and one of those is consistency. And let me tell you why. If you're going to Facebook to get a recipe from me, or to learn about a training from the SBDC, or to learn about what's happening with SOAR, yes, you're going to our page, but Facebook is providing that value to you. Facebook, Instagram, all of these platforms are in the business of selling user experience. So internally, they scratch the back of those that scratch theirs. So what amount of posts constitutes too much? At minimum, I want to, or enough rather, I beg my clients at the SBDC to give me 1 post a week. That's not much. Should you post more than 1 time a week? Yes. But what I want you to do is to consistently post 1 time a week, and then I would like to see you scale up. What is too much? There are some industries that have it much easier. If you're a restaurant, you can post your daily special. That's so easy, right? If you're a boutique, you can show your clothing. Some of us that are in the professional sector, dentists, lawyers, doctors, that's hard. All of that to say, this is the deciphering point that I use. I say, if the post that you're posting adds to the brand, it adds to your reputation, it has the potential to convert a digital impression to an acting customer, the post is worth making. But if you're just posting to post, cut it off. It's too much. And I say that because businesses have a huge burden of proof, and organizations. Unfortunately, this is just fact. It's true of us. It's true of everyone. We, as an organization, as a business, we're less interesting to follow than the person we went to high school with or college with or whatever it might be. And so we have a burden of proof with our content to make sure we continue to deliver value and the people stay with us. And so all of that to say, you definitely can overpost. What's very important, though, is that you post the same amount of times on each platform per week, with a huge asterisk here. This may change, but TikTok is a very dynamic platform. I don't listen to this advice, even though I know it's true. TikTok has released data saying that they prefer content at least once a day, sometimes more. They actually, if you look at official TikTok guidance, they say 1 to 4 times a day. I create content for a living, and I'm not posting 4 times a day, I can assure you. So the other platforms, you do have to post less, but people that have been very successful on TikTok have posted with high frequency. Let's just make that caveat. It's a platform in and of itself. So then the question becomes, you've chosen your platform, you know you have to create content with a consistency. Part two of that is, okay, how do I then create content that is of value, that is engaging, that makes someone either want to stay on your page or make them realize that it's worth sticking around and they don't want to unfollow your business? It's all in imagery. It's all in imagery. And this is an example of my Instagram feed, for example, and we're going to talk about this, but I chose this 6-photo montage very specifically because I'm seeing different things, right? I'm giving different visual cues, and we're going to talk about why it's engaging. But what are the takeaways even before we dive into it? One, the images are colorful, they're bright. I could just post food all day long. I do not like looking at photos of myself. I don't like my photo taken, even though it's what I do for a living. And I work in TV, I have to. But I have to remind some people at times like, hey, I'm JCP, like this is a real guy behind it. That's a huge struggle with business, is that we often push our product or we push our organization. People want to know who it is behind, this account. It's all about personification, okay? And digital content, we want to feel like we relate. So, there are people around Kentucky that have followed over 10 years. I want them to feel like I'm their best friend and I'm helping them cook, I want people to feel that warmth from me. And if I just posted the food, Kevin could have easily cooked this food as much as I did. We're seeing different textures. We're seeing a little bit different style. We've gone from strawberry brownies to sloppy joes to a butter. But again look here, this is not a direct food post. So again, some variability. If you post the same thing over and over again, people lose interest, so we have to change it up. But what you should think about when you change it is quality must be consistent. Okay, all of these photos are of similar quality, similar lighting, similar brightness. And if you have something, for example, that is of low quality, that might be a reason to not post. So with the caveat that the photo on the left is not mine. I would be out of business if this was mine. But this is an image found on I told you I would include it upstairs on the interwebs, going with that name. But let's look at these two images. If you were creating content for a business, say you were a restaurant, your customers may post about your business and or a Google review, and you're going to get a photo like this. I mean, we can't help it, right? But that photo, hopefully the random chance, someone that's in here that took this photo that I got off Google, I'm so sorry if this is yours. But it's very poorly lit, right? Look at the shadow, look at the difference in lighting. It looks like mush, right? This is not interesting. And I see businesses every single day in Kentucky. If you're a boutique, they're showing the clothing on a hanger, and sometimes things look different on a body than they do on a hanger. We're not positioning our products in an engaging way. So coming in December, you all are getting a sneak peek. My cranberry bacon cheese ball with Duke's mayonnaise. Okay, this photo is staged brighter, it's staged much clearer. And if I were, and I know this is my photo, but if I were, I'm gonna bully myself in a bit. If I were looking at food, unless you hate cranberries or have an aversion to mayo, you're probably gonna choose the one on the right? And that's because that content is more engaging. It's well lit, it's in focus. And something I wanna say, if you sell a product, there was a huge trend years ago to take your photos over top. You will never see me post a photo like that. If you get down on the level of whatever you're shooting, you see much better texture, dimension. That's of, candle, if you're selling candles, whatever it might be. Consider shooting at the level of the product, just an aside there. But now I'm gonna bully myself. Both of these photos are from the same blog post, my most popular blog post, Made a Pa. And if you were a business, for example, I would say one of these photos are an A and one's a D. And which one's a D? The one on the right? We have to remind people not only through our faces that we personalize content, we have to remember to push our product in a not so shoving way. So I have Duke's mayonnaise there in the back. I'm hoping you're going to choose this mayonnaise, certainly. But on the right, you may go buy Hellmann's, right? Again, if I'm a boutique owner and I'm wearing a cardigan, and I'm not telling you where my pants are from, and they're from the store next door, guess what? Someone's going to ask you about that and/or convert. We have to tell people constantly, in a subdued way, what it is that we want them to do. So these photos are the same quality, unlike before. However, one has an ability to convert and one does not. Let's talk about this one. Maybe if you just hate seeing my face, the one on the right won't convert as much. But all this to say, you can kind of tell by lighting, this was taken in my backyard on the exact same day. We have a product photo and we have a photo with a human. This photo will convert on the right, not because it's me. If anything, that detracts from it, but all of that to say that photo will convert. And if I see one error across organizations, across businesses, in tourism, in all of these industries, is that products are great, places are great, we all have them. What sets you apart, the only unique thing that cannot be replicated in a business model is the individual or the individuals behind the business or organization. So I urge you to be as face forward as possible, and this image will convert time and time again much better than this one. So show your product in use with a human. Okay? And this is a video, it's the same video, we won't play it. But again, this is a comparison, same campaign, watch it in November, but this is me making the eggs, and here's a photo of the deviled eggs with bacon. Well, that photo looks good. I could take a big bite of it right now if you want to know the truth. This is more engaging, right? This is the content where we're going. And again, I could say, make this egg, it looks good, or I'm going to show you how to make it. If you're a boutique owner, wear this cardigan, it will look good in the fall. Show me how to wear the cardigan, right? Show me how your product can be used in my day-to-day life. Because when I begin to find a relatability to it, my ability as a consumer to convert on it is higher, and that means I will produce more revenue for you. That's the important part in creating content. So a few last things, and then I hope we're going to be interactive with many questions. I love questions. I want to hear your comments and concerns. Let's talk about optimization. So we have content on our pages. We know the type of imagery that we should post. We know the platforms we should post on, etc. However, guess what? There is a way that we can optimize. So these are my tips and tricks. How on earth have I taken a blog born in Estill, Kentucky, really not even Jamestown, and converted it to an audience of over 1 million? And it's through some of these things, through tagging, through geographic positioning, comments, things of this nature. So let's talk about it. Hashtags. It's so silly, right? One time I gave a training and someone raised their hand and they said, "Are you talking about the pound sign?" Some of you all probably don't even know what a pound sign is, but yes, I'm talking about the pound sign right now. So hashtagging is very important, right? And this is how sometimes our posts take flight into getting more impressions. But a lot of people, if I were to ask you what a hashtag is, you may struggle to give me a definition, a hard definition. And that's okay. I mean, it's kind of niche, right? But if I were to define it for you, if I were thinking, what on earth is a hashtag? It's not a pound sign. It's a link for potential customers to find your business. They can be a way to include descriptive keywords. They can be locational, identifiers, and or searching mechanisms. I say and or, and that's erroneous because actually they should be all 5. So let's talk about that. If you use hashtags associated with a niche market, your content has the potential to have a much higher conversion rate and to be found by a potential customer that will convert. For example, actually we'll get to that, let's hold it off. And again, at the end of the day, the goal of hashtags is to increase post impressions. So taking that 5, let's put it down into 3, a tripartite fashion, the holy trinity of hashtags here. We have industry hashtags, we have locality hashtags, and we have geographic hashtags. And you find them through research, and this is something I often do with our clients at the SBDC. A tech-savvy slide, please excuse me. But finding a balance between these is what's important. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about niche hashtags. If people are looking for content, trying to find a blogger, I could say hashtag blogger, but there are going to be millions of posts using that hashtag. It's going to be harder for me to penetrate that market. I can penetrate a market and dominate a market so much more if I use hashtag Kentucky blogger, which is locality, it's placing me via geography, or hashtag Southern blogger. There's an example, right? If you're a bridal store, that's the business I was raised in. My mom ran one and my grandma for over 40 years before they sold. If you're looking for someone that's going to convert and purchase a wedding dress, unless it's e-commerce in your Kentucky store, don't use hashtag bride. People that are getting married on all 7 continents are using hashtag bride. Hashtag Kentucky bride. How much better is that? Because those are Kentucky people that are potentially in the market to find you. So that's an example of using, a restaurant, for example, I have there, instead of saying hashtag local. Well, local to where? If someone is in Nevada, they may never come to Russell County, Kentucky. But if I say hashtag Kentucky proud, those are people that are in my niche market. So, this is the goal, and this is most popular on Instagram and TikTok, but all of that to say, you have many hashtags you can use, and there's not a perfect number. You'll read articles, and they'll say, use 13. That's kind of crazy. I mean, everyone has their own niche, but here's what's not crazy. I urge you, some of us have hashtags that we use every single post. You have to use different hashtags with every post, and here's why. A lot of social media these days has become very robotic, has been driven by artificial intelligence, and platforms detect that, unfortunately. And the worst thing you can do to a platform is to look like a robot. So you want to use different hashtags in accordance to each post. Let's give an example. And we'll just use 3. Say I always want to use hashtag Kentucky food, hashtag Kentucky blogger. If I did that over and over again, but I'm staying in Paintsville tonight, my best friend's from there. If y'all are from Johnson County, maybe I go get a hot dog with sauce. I know that's very popular at the local Dairy Queen. So, I would probably do a hashtag based off of that food or based off of Paintsville, right? I'm customizing it with at least 1 or 2 things that are different. So this helps you with the algorithm, and you don't want to be robotic. It's also boring for your audience, right? Something else I want to say is that I want you to tell people where you are. Isn't that creepy? When I was growing up, and I told my family I'd started blogging, and I, wanted to make money doing this, and companies were offering to send me stuff. They're like, well, you can't tell them where you live. Tell them you live in Kentucky, but don't say you're in Jamestown. We're raised to be careful about stranger danger and cybersecurity, all these things. That's relevant, right? But as a business, we need to be proud to locate where we are. I assure you that I would probably not be in business or have had a career in blogging had I tried to just be a blogger. I've made it because I branded it to Kentucky, and I want people to convert in that way. Same for your business, right? I want you to tag geographic locations so people know and they begin to have a brand continuity and understanding of who you are and where you are. But here's what's more important. If people on your page, similar to posting photos of yourself, that's personifying your content, as businesses, we also need to interact with their consumers, right? This makes it less robotic. It makes it seem conversational. And so if someone comments on your post, comment back. It's as simple as that, right? And guess what? That gives you 2 comments in the system, which helps promote your posts internally. That's a little hack. But doing that makes the customer feel valued, okay? And so if someone comments on my page and they say, I made this pie, it was delicious, I may comment So glad you enjoyed. That took me a minute, right? But because I answered them and maybe made that person feel special, maybe I have a client for the rest of my life that will read the post. Same with your business. If someone is coming in and they make a comment, thank them for coming in. It's so simple, right? You're starting a conversation, and it does personify you. It makes it people realize that there's actually a person behind this account. My maybe second most popular question, or maybe tied with the consistency, is people will come into the SBDC and they'll say, I want to grow following, or how do you grow following, or how have you grown a following? And isn't that the question of all questions? But let me tell you about marketing firms. Let me tell you a little secret. If you hire a digital marketing firm, oftentimes they're very expensive, and I have contracted with them. This is no shade. I have done this myself. Part of your retainer, part of what you're paying them, they're going to be doing exactly what I'm about to tell you, right? Some of the retainer fee goes for labor, some of it goes for paid per click campaigns, but the other part goes for engagement. Engagement is my favorite tactic on social, and it's something that I do every single day. So what do I mean by that? It again personifies your brand if you engage with others. It makes you seem community-driven, community-focused, things of this nature. So as I say here, one of the most important parts of your success is how you connect with your current audience and future audience. And I often tell people this, don't freak out. I'll say, do it 30 minutes a day. If you could promise me 30 minutes, you would be gold, and you'll see huge results. Try for less, do something consistent, but this is a gold standard. I try to do it 30 minutes a day. And how is it that you engage? I often interact with client-centered hashtags or locations, people that I think could convert for me, and we'll talk about that. So I know that sounds kind of in the air. And by interacting with these accounts, I'm attracting them directly to my account. What's an example? If I'm going to pick on Kevin. I know Kevin. If Kevin Norval is posting a photo in Corbin, and I want more readers in Corbin, and I go to his page and interact with him as a business JCP Eats, if he's never heard of me, he may think, well, who's JCP Eats, right? He has the potential to click over and to learn about me, and I'm doing that at no cost. I'm engaging. So let me show you a strategic example. This is Instagram. This is a geographic search. So just like I was saying, I want you to tell people where you are. Now we're going to leverage that for ourselves as well to find new people. So last weekend, it was beautiful. I was at Keeneland in Lexington. A lot of people are posting at Keeneland these days, right? It's very hot. It's fall meat. I target Keeneland every single day during fall and spring meet. And what do I mean by that? I have identified the average Keeneland goer as a target reader of mine. The demographics match. And so the people that are posting photos at Keeneland, I engage with them, because if they're interested in going to a horse race in Kentucky, I think they may be interested in reading about Kentucky recipes and or Kentucky restaurant reviews, and I'm putting myself in front of them. If you're a cat fan, as most people are in here, I target Rep Arena heavily during UK men's basketball season, Kroger Field. During football season, these two are, locality, Russell County, Lake Cumberland. I like people to tie me to that. But maybe you're here and you're targeting Pikeville and Prestonsburg and Paintsville, and you're a brick and mortar store. Well, on Instagram, there are hundreds of people a week, likely, telling you that they are in these places, and they're telling you that for free. Engage with them. Make sure that they realize that you are there, and you can do this through ads. That's the other way, but this way is free. And I know we all have limited budgets, and let them know that they're there, right? It's an easier conversion when it's someone that's local. So I focus a lot on locality in my content, but some of us don't have 30 minutes a day to engage, or we don't want to, or we won't do it consistently. All of these things are issues. So how can we ramify this issue? How can we rectify it? And we can do this through the running of ads. and this is something that would be a training in and of itself. If your business or organization wants to do this, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you optimize this. But I do it all the time here at the SBDC. But when you run an ad, okay, if you are putting up a billboard, and no shade to billboards, I've worked in that world many times, we can see data from, the road or, the service saying this many people, transportation service, this many people drive by, this exact spot every day, every week. Kind of hard to prove a conversion there. And the reason being, how do you know that those people are craning their heads to look at your billboard? You don't. How do you know that people passing that billboard are directly in your target audience? You don't, right? It's impossible. Digital marketing very much makes that possible, and that's through a process called audience mapping. So this is a snippet of a Facebook ad, and this is a little bit creepy, but I do this every day, all day long for myself too. So for example, if you were running a Facebook ad, minimum spend of $1 per day, and wanting to leverage your social media to grow your business and your following to the correct people, you can specify via location. You would want to X out United States there, and say you wanted to put Lexington, Paintsville, Pikeville, Prestonsburg, and London. I'm just making up places. And you wanted to advertise there. You then can go to detailed targeting, and you could say, if you're a boutique, you can say clothing or fashion, or if you're a restaurant, you can say food or local food or dining, all of these things, and then, say how much you want to spend. And guess what? It's kind of creepy. The internet knows everything about us, and they monitor our clicks, they monitor what we type in search bars. They monitor the things that we spend time on reading because they know we're engaged by it. And if I were to specify that for $1 a day, $30 that month, that post would only hit people in those geographic locations that have shown a propensity of interest for those topics. That's extremely powerful to be able to do that for $30. Customer data used to be so expensive in the marketing world, and I used to pay for marketing data before I ran, Facebook ads, and I would read about trends and all this stuff, and I would spend hundreds of dollars a year, sometimes more, on that. And now I can spend $1 a day. I spend more than that, but hitting the right people and getting the right conversion. So if you're going to leverage social media, this goes back to my assumption number 2. Social media is free to be on, but it's cheap to be good at. And unfortunately, it is becoming a little bit more of a pay-per-play industry. You certainly can still be organic on it, but if you have budget for it, I encourage you to allocate. And if you don't, maybe it's something that you work towards, building the revenue to allocate it. And I'm not an accountant. As we say at the SBDC, we are not lawyers and we're not accountants, so please consult your CPA. But what I do know is that social media advertising is tax deductible, and it's my favorite tax deduction every single year in my own business. Before we get to questions and hopefully interactive conversation about your social and your issues, I want to talk about tribe mentality. And this is not original. This is a notion a lot of people chat about online. But all of that to say, it's so easy for me to sit here and say, well, the website has 700,000 subscribers. So that's all fine and dandy, but I have labored and toiled and spent 6 digits over the last 13 years in making that happen. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. You can have a highly converting business with a very small amount of followers. And followers at the end of the day are a vanity metric. So anyone that's sitting here, whether it be younger people that maybe they want to be an influencer. When I started, we didn't use that word. But maybe that's what you want to do. Influencers need followers, of course. But I can promise you that I make more on some brand deals than influencers with much more following than I, because I have a higher conversion. And there are people that are smaller than me online that make way more than me because they convert better than I do. Same with businesses. You can have a business with 1,500 followers versus the exact same industry, 15,000 followers. And the business with 1,500 could very much convert more and make more money off social media if they have the correct audience. And so by using, whether it be ads, whether it be your engaging content, whether it be through your social media engagement, at the end of the day, it's not so much how many people or how many eyes you have on it, though we want that number to be big. It's what quality of eyes, what quality of followers, and what propensity do these followers, this sounds very harsh, but what propensity do we have to make those followers do what we want them to do? Whether that be spend money, whether that be to give an impression. But I assure you that followers do not equal success. That I can promise. So we're going to go into question and answer and being interactive, but I know sometimes in a large setting that it can be scary to ask a question. Hopefully you've realized I'm very casual and I'm not scary and I want to hear your question. But if you feel nervous in a larger setting to ask me, please feel free to reach out to us. Of course, we provide business consulting services at no cost, whether that be business planning, looking at your financials, if you're purchasing a business, whatever it might be. Pivoting, we do it all. Exit plans, we may not do the plan there, but we have people that sell businesses. All of this to say, we can talk about it all, but me, myself, the things that I most often find myself talking to clients about is their marketing, their digital strategy, their website and SEO optimization, search engine optimization, their branding, PR. These are the things that I'm best at, though there are other things that we all do. So, this is just one of many. But if you have a question about any of these specific niches or want to learn how to connect with the business coach in your area, please feel free to reach out to me or to go to our Kentucky SBDC website. My email is just my name, jc.phelps@uky.edu. And if you want a card again, come up at the end and I'll give you one, but I would be more than happy to help you. And this is what we're tasked to do. Somehow, some way, don't ask me the particulars here, but we are publicly funded. And so what I always tell people, they'll say, thank you for doing this, but your tax dollars have somehow funneled down to us, and we've been prepaid, and it's our duty to serve you. And we do that with pride. So it would be an honor to help you in your business or your organization. So please feel free. You can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help. That's what I'm here to do. So, thank you. Thank you. Social media is scary. It's a big industry, but there's no reason to be scared. We all are doing it. We're all constantly learning. We're constantly honing. We're constantly changing. My business is very different than it was last year, and it's immensely different than it was pre-COVID, for example. So even people that work only on social, we're all constantly trying to figure it out. So I hope by looking at this through the lens of optimizing your page, looking at your real estate, making people know what it is that you do and where you do it and how to reach you in a very concise way, invoking that same information through engaging content and being very careful on the quality of content that you post, strategically placing it on the correct platforms with the correct consistency, and then looking at ways of how we can leverage it through engaging, through being personified, through being personal on our pages. Maybe it's running Facebook ads and putting some of your business budgets behind it. If you see what I did there, in 1 minute, I've said everything I said in 58 minutes, so now I'm going to give you a test. But all of that to say, leveraging it is strategy, and strategy can be learned. There's nothing you can do on social media that's an innate gift. It's all learned, And it's something that every single person in this room can do. And I've always said, I was a mathlete and a total geek from Russell County. If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. I feel that way pretty often. So don't feel like the barrier to entry is too high. It's definitely approachable. So if you want to raise your hand, not all at once, maybe you have some questions. I would love to answer them. And before we do that, I'm afraid that I'm going to forget. I do want to remind you it's currently just 2. We have plenty of time, but at 3 is the plenary session back at the Wireless Arena with Hal Rogers, our governor, Andy Bashir, Colby Hall, who's the executive director of SOAR, Kimberly McCann of the SOAR Executive Board, Mark Rimbert, Director of Research and Knowledge for the Center for Rural Innovation, and Ryan Quarles, our Commissioner of Agriculture. And if you want more SBDC and something that I think is really interesting and exciting, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., so we're early, at the New Beginnings Fellowship Church, we are talking about how to craft a winning pitch. It's going to be very interactive, and if you have an idea, my understanding, I'm going to look at Sabrina and she can correct me, but if you have an idea after kind of this conversation, there will be a live pitch. Is that correct? Did you hear that? Free money, right? Take that money and put it on your Facebook ads with your idea, and you can leverage and grow a business. How about that? So come and see us 9 to 10 in the morning. There's prize money, and they will walk out of the conference with a check, yeah?
Yep, the speed pitch competition is following how to craft a winning pitch.
So is that from 10 to 11? Okay, so 9 to 10, you would be with us at the SBDC. 10 to 11, you can take what you learned and we'll do a pitch on the spot, and you may get some money. And I hope you all will come. I will be there cheering you on. So what questions do you all have? I know there are some. Yeah.
Jesse, you may have mentioned this, but with the professional services, do you recommend that people put up their company logo or personal photo?
So for a company, I usually recommend the logo. I also recommend the logo not to be too dense with text because, for example, on Facebook, I can click that and enlarge it. On Instagram and TikTok, I can't do that. So we want to make sure that, and I have really bad vision, but when I'm looking at that circle, I can actually see, what's in the logo. However, if you are a business that's a solo entrepreneur and or, the business that it's named after or something like that, the person rather, in that case, I think a headshot is very personal. If you're a CPA and you're a team of 1, I want to see you. I want to know who's going to do my taxes. So if you are an organization of many, logo, and if you are a team of 1 or a small team, maybe you all. And the second thing there, say we're talking about Facebook, many people, you have a profile photo and you have a cover photo. A large pet peeve of mine, just because I feel it's not, the small business is not doing themselves justice, is if you have a logo in your profile photo, I shouldn't see your logo in the cover image, right? That's a repetitive thing, and we're lessening your return on investment. Those two things should be symbiotic and should play together, but you should show me in that larger image what it is that you offer, or a photo of your physical location, or if it's a logo, maybe a photo of your full team, something. It should differentiate. So making sure we don't repeat ourselves because we have very minimal real estate to optimize. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I know you talked about making video
Mm-hmm.
content. So something I've kind of noticed here in Eastern Kentucky is our bandwidth isn't the best.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you have a recommendation on the length of a video that could download easily and people could see? What is that time frame?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The question goes with bandwidth, which is a huge issue and a thing that we constantly talk about working towards in Eastern and rural Kentucky. For example, I didn't have fiber internet until I was 18. I was in college in Danville, went home, and we had fiber, and it was like, whoa. I was so excited. It was no faster when I first started than dial-up was back in the day. I mean, I still hear that noise with PTSD of the dial-up. You all don't even know what dial-up internet is. But all of that to say, there is a desired length for two reasons. If you're shooting, first off, in terms of content size, I shoot most everything on a large DSLR camera, but these bad boys are pretty good. And like that deviled egg video was shot on this. iPhone quality is a smaller, file in grand way than an actual camera. So I do recommend using your phone for that. All of that to say, my first assumption is that people are lazy. Let's go back to that. We have a fall off, right? And so most social media platforms recommend, less than a minute. Sometimes 30 to 45 seconds is what a lot of articles will say. I think it kind of depends by platform, but my opinion is the video should be as short as possible, as long as you're conveying all of the information by which you want. And if you've hit that in 22 seconds, no need to make it 30, because with each second that video progresses, you run the risk of a customer falling off of the video before you tell them the call to action, which is often at the end, right? So both in terms of bandwidth and making upload speed easier here in Eastern Kentucky or in, just generally rural Kentucky, and for your consumers, I say under a minute, but as short as possible. Yeah. An exception there, some businesses do lives and, they do things like that, and sometimes they can go on, but social media is a scrolling culture, and there's actually a lot of psychology behind that, but the scroll has really messed with us, and the scroll has made our attention spans very small. And I used to say, I think I had a better attention span and I was maybe more mentally advanced when I was younger, because social media has, I think, made me dial that down some. So as short as possible, yeah. I try to do 30 to 40, by the way. That's usually, I feel like I can get everything I can get across 30 to 45 seconds. If I go over a minute, I start questioning if I've gone too long. That's a great question, thank you. What about my youngins over here? Do y'all have any? They're shy. I saw a hand. Kevin, State Office, Kentucky SBDC superstar.
I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit about scheduling posts and efficiency gains and sort of planning out a week most of the time, or maybe longer, and how that works.
So Kevin's question, if you all didn't hear him, is speaking to the importance of scheduling posts and in planning your social media. Absolutely. Scheduling is so important because it keeps us in track, right? It helps, something comes up. I had meetings last week and then had an infected tooth and had to go get a root canal. These things come up, and in business that happens too. So people take their scheduling sometimes in a very formal way or a very informal way. If you can't trust yourself to schedule, maybe step one is just sitting there with a sheet of paper, very informal, and saying, these are the content pieces I'm going to post about, the things that you have releasing in this month, etc. However, I encourage you, if you're afraid that you won't be able to make the posts with the regularity that is desired, Facebook, Instagram, for example, within the business suite, you can pre-schedule posts to go out days, weeks in advance. And so if you have free time to mass shoot some content or to work for an hour or two, you could have your content done for a month in a matter of a click. Their native schedulers are always recommended, by my opinion, and or one of the larger schedulers. There are recommended partners, large ones like Hootsuite, maybe you're familiar with that, but an air to caution. You can find a resource online, and if you can't find it, email me, I'll send it to you, about Facebook and Instagram approved third-party vendors. At the end of the day, Facebook and Instagram want you to use their own platforms. And so if you can get away with Business Suite, by all means, do it. If not, use a recommended partner. If you use a third-party software that they don't like, they wouldn't say this on public record, but it can penalize you, meaning less people will see your post because they want to keep you. So yes to schedulers, yes to the efficiency by which it brings, but not all schedulers are created or treated equally in the eyes of marketing. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I hear, yeah, okay, there you are.
With advertising versus running contests, which is your better conversion rate? Because both are going to be spending money by giving something away versus money on an ad. So what would you say is a better conversion?
I love this question. So the question is advertising, so paid advertising at the end versus a giveaway. And giveaways often have the expense of your cost for the product, your expense, and maybe shipping if you have to ship it. So, you know, with the caveat here, my background's actually in finance and econ, so I'm gonna be gross and take the marketing conversation there. I truly believe in the law of diversification. And diversification, whether it be your portfolio risk or your marketing risk, it's best to balance. Here's my opinion, though, in terms of best return on investment, you will see a quicker growth in followers from giveaways, because usually it's a entry point that you must follow to do that, and it is a great way to get people. However, there's a significant fall off at times once people realize, hey, I didn't win the sweater, I'm out, you know? Whereas I tend to find that I think the return on dollar spent in paid advertising is better if the ad is well optimized, because they're not coming to me expecting something free. They're seeing the product knowing through my targeting that it's something that is of interest to them. Best case scenario, you use both. And, you know, a giveaway, depending on the size of the product, that could be a more inexpensive way. And I do a giveaway, PS, every single month. I do one a month typically, sometimes in the holidays more, or back to school. So something to think about, I think, is the balance between two, but long-term value, I'm a believer in ads myself. You're welcome. Great question. Yeah, how about that? No, you're fine.
So I work in tourism, so we're a very face-forward business, but we're also a very destination-driven business. So if you were starting a new TikTok account, per se, so would you do the people behind the scene, like we're very face-forward, or would it be more like an overview destination type deal, like if it was that first general post that you're putting out there to start it?
The first post that, especially, P.S., what form of tourism do you work in?
Prestonsburg Tourism.
Oh, you're Prestonsburg Tourism. Well, it's nice to meet you. Of course, you may know this. I work a lot with Kentucky tourism and have for years throughout the state. And also here at the SBDC, one last thing I'll say, if you'd like to connect, we were the first program to pioneer a creative economy and tourism team. So of which I work on. So we love working with our tourism businesses. In terms of what I've seen work in both Kentucky CVBs and around the state, again, going back to that diversification rule, I think you would see value in both. What misses there is that often people don't include the individual person, right? The second you listed, sometimes that's harder or more awkward to orchestrate, and people forget that. People want to see that. However, if you were just starting out your first few posts, I think what really grabs people, especially in short form video on TikTok, is shock factor. So doing something like, I know you all, I think, just got a bourbon facility or tasting room. I think I saw that online, yeah? But having something that really is eye-catching and makes people perk their ears up, that's what I think works in tourism. And let me give you an example. I was in Hart County, which is a client I've worked with on the blog for years. And if you've ever been to Hidden River Cave, it's literally right off of Main Street. It's just the craziest thing. And I did a little video just panning over, I'm not even in it, with voiceover saying, you know, here I am in downtown Horse Cave, and then I show this massive, beautiful cave, the biggest entrance in cave country. It got almost 400,000 views. And I think it got almost 400,000 views because it's bizarre. Here you are in a really small, beautiful little town, and then massive cave. So in short form video on TikTok, shock factor works. And that's maybe something I would incorporate to both of the type of videos you would say. what's also very important is especially in tourism, is pushing the locality of it all. And what I think about business, tourism, profit, nonprofit, but tourism really has this down. So a lesson I think business can learn from tourism is that we want people to come to our city, or if you're a for-profit business, we want people to come to your business and spend their money. But, if people are coming to Russell County, if they're coming to Prestonsburg, Somerset, wherever, we know they're going to go to multiple places. And so being a team player and showing the diversity of a place and what all a town has to offer is of great advantage. So definitely do TikTok. There could be lots of fun Prestonsburg content on TikTok. But, even just shocking voiceover content, which is very easy to make, I think would really rock out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I think there was one over here. Yeah.
I was just curious how you would handle, like people who, like you said, you were gonna have to buy your brand for $10,000.
Uh-huh.
I have people who make Facebook pages that are not the actual Facebook page that I am over top of. So how do you? I have, flagged them, I have reported them, and then they still don't get taken down.
Yeah.
My following is like 5,000 people, where there's only like 250. Do you even worry about those people, or do you still try to get them taken down? Like, how do you handle people who are trying to be used?
So how do you handle imposters? One, of course, it is flattering, right? You're doing something right if someone's doing it. With the caveat here, this is maybe a lesson. Facebook is almost impossible to reach. I mean, the support is almost negligent. It's really hard. So will you have a high potential to ever reach them and have something happen? I've had it happen very few times. All of that to say, at the end of the day, all you can do is to continue on and to not give it much train of thought, because while it is your creative property, at the end of the day, that's going to happen constantly. And I have, accounts like that pop up several times a month at least. So I do ignore them. I try to report them. Sometimes I will make a post and say, hey, go report, and sometimes they will. But you can do that too much, too. You don't want to seem too avid in that. So my best advice is to continue doing the thing that got you to 5,000 followers. And once, a page will never be able to fully replicate you.
Like, I have an event video, so they'll go somewhere and then they tag the wrong page, and so.
Okay, huge issue. Yes.
Content of the video, but it's on the wrong page.
Yes, and boy, oh boy, do I feel your pain there. So the issue of them sharing onto the wrong page, in a very nice way, in a very conversational way, whether it be through the initial content on the page, or if people are at the event, making it abundantly clear either through your marketing and your copy to them and how you discuss with the customer that these are, in fact, your handles, would be best. But at the end of the day, that's also something that can't be reached. Here's an idea, and this is, and doing it in a nice way, but doing it the right way. If you see that happen from the real page, comment on it and say, we appreciated having you. It was great to see you. And then people are again seeing that, and maybe they may click over. And then sometimes, I have tagged the wrong page on accident. If I'm Dollar General, one of my sponsors, one time I tagged an individual Dollar General store, not Dollar General corporate. And then when they commented on it, and they were nice, they just said, something normal. I clicked, I thought, ooh, I've got the wrong one. So I went in and corrected it myself. So while there's not a direct answer, I do think you can penetrate both through your marketing copy that you give people, and when you notice the posts, act on it in a professional way. But continue to report them, and occasionally you can submit Facebook support tickets. I'm not sure if you have. Sometimes I don't get answered for a week, and sometimes I get a call in 10 minutes, and it's amazing. And those times I just fall on my knees in gratitude, but they're very hard to reach. Yeah.
Doesn't Facebook have a verification?
So they have you can have verified profiles, and in terms of like celebrities or people with large followings, like those people can be verified, but like the name of a business, while you may verify, your account via your email or a two-factor authentication, there would be nothing stopping me, for example, if I wanted to make a page called JCP Eats with 2 S's or something. There's really no verification process that blocks that. And the smaller the business, if you're not a mega celebrity or something, those can get taken down pretty quickly. But those of us that are in the field and just normal people, we struggle with having. So while there are some authentication tactics, they don't always work to our advantage. Sometimes they just make it hard to log in when you forget your password. Sometimes that's all they're good for, right? That's at least the case with me. How are we doing on time? We're 2:19, so we still got a few more minutes. Any other questions? Again, plenary session at 3.
Have you ever recommended any other platforms to a customer, like Reddit or Twitch or anything like that?
So totally. I actually leverage Reddit myself in my own business. I use some of the niche food boards, to garner traffic. And I actually get more traffic from Reddit than I do on Instagram. I mean, you heard it here first. It's kind of weird. But I don't recommend those often just because they are typically kind of niche. But, again, speaking with anonymity and how we work, I have clients at the SBDC that both leverage Reddit and Twitch. It's just not as common. And so often what I find in small business is that time is so limited to optimize that the biggest return on investment for those time are maybe the big 3. And oftentimes people are scared of that third one. And so I at least try to get them to Facebook or Instagram. But there are models, I think, that very much fit those. Just like I think there are models that fit YouTube, for example, where others would not. Yeah, but totally. I love both of those myself. Yeah, Reddit is my favorite website for sure. I think I saw a hand over. Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I'm hoping that you could share with everyone about your training coming to Paintsville next week.
Yes, of course I can. Now let me pull up the exact date. There I am. 27th. Okay, awesome. So next week I'm going to be in Paintsville again, and we are going to be doing a training. Michelle Spriggs, who works for the SBDC with me, my coworker, she's the SBDC of Eastern Kentucky, based in Paintsville. We are going to be doing 2 trainings in one day, and there's a lunch provided. The first, actually, I don't know the order. I think the first training might be the Facebook and Instagram training, and it is what we just talked about, next level. It's trainings that I give constantly here at the SBDC, but it is going into the deep dive of really how you can take these platforms and optimize them, as opposed to a general conversation on leveraging. And the second session is titled Marketing in a Tourism-Based Economy. So if you are, sometimes people, I think, are even confused by the nature of tourism, and they think, where I'm from, it's Lake Cumberland. But tourism are, the local businesses that build quality of life and where you live, the restaurants, the unique shops, all of these places that you would see on a main street. All of these businesses are tourism adjacent. So, next week on the 27th, right? Those 2 trainings, and there's an Eventbrite link. I'm guessing through the chamber there's a link, is that true?
Yes, through the Paintsville Johnson County Chamber of Commerce Facebook page, or you can go to the SBDC in Eastern Kentucky's page.
Yes, and we would love to see you. And it's at the Kentucky Country Music.
Highway Museum.
Yes. In Staffordsville, right? Is that right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I would love to see you all there if you all are close. This will be a really fun training and will be a very deep drive. So I think just if you attended this training, this would be a great segue into that one. That one will be more detailed for sure.